I chugged this coffee too quick. Listen. Flip
This
away.
cat getting tired of this.
Flip away. And feed. Feed. Because why not? Because it doesn't matter.
This cat don't like its owner. Look at this.
I went out of my way.
He just shut his eyes, man. He's like, I'm getting sick and tired of this garbage, man. You do this every live stream talking about Xbox. I mean, come on, man. This is crazy.
That, yeah, this is all headed to the same place, which is the hardware ultimately is going to be irrelevant.
Games still won another W. I told you that gaming is pushing for live service and subscriptions, and that is where gaming is heading. Yes, and you are completely right. I wouldn't necessarily go there, but the purpose of it, it won't necessarily matter where you play your games. That was the point that I've been trying to make in my videos for the past, past few years, right? I mean, come on, man. I mean, at the end of the day, does it really matter where you play your games? Because, unfortunately, it's impacting a lot of these companies and not getting enough money for the games that they're working on. That's the reason as to why Microsoft and including Sony are putting their games on other platforms. You guys want to sit there and say, well, Nintendo's not doing it. Well, Nintendo is not making AAA games. They're not making $400, $800 million Legend of Zeldas. Like I've said before, they make AA games and they walk out with AAA money. So as long as Nintendo still continues that strategy, they're okay. But even if they do go to the AAA, they'll still make their money, but they won't be making the same amount as what they're doing with the Switch 1 and possibly the Switch 2.
The long-term future, and people are just going to they're just going to want to access their fucking games through an app, and that app is going to be literally everywhere. People are going to be wearing glasses where, they access the app through that. If that's where we're headed, then, yeah, Microsoft putting games on PlayStation right now, or PlayStation putting their games on PC right now, these are all things that can be undone at any moment.
You really think that Microsoft or Sony are going to change this strategy, man? You got to understand. The budgets of these games are getting higher and higher and higher. Yes, 1 to 2 million sales of a game during the PS1 was perfectly fine, considering that the game had a low budget. What do you people don't understand? If Concord came out and hasn't truly explained to you as to why games shouldn't be locked to one platform, well, then I don't know what to tell you. Because your exclusivity tiers is not what's helping these companies pay the bills. That's why they doing it. You have to expand on your gaming division. And when people say, oh, why does Microsoft say that the gaming industry hasn't grown? Has it really? Let's really think about that for a moment. So for all the people that say, oh, gaming has grown, let me see. It has grown. I wouldn't sit there and go that far. But the Wii sold about, 100 and something million sales. PS5s, 100 and something million sales. PS4s, 100 and something million sales. Even the Nintendo Switch, 150 something million sales. But has it been 300? Have we got to a console that has sold 400, 500, 600, 700 million? No. So if you notice something about gaming, it actually has stagnated. Because if you think about it, now if we go back to the days of the NES, it was 38 with the Genesis, maybe 40 million with the NES. Then you had that with the Super Nintendo, and then the PS1 came around, and then they had about 100, right? So Sony kind of, pushed that, right, with the 100 sales margins, right? Nintendo kind of did it similar to what they portables, but we already knew that. But when we're talking about home consoles, think about it. There hasn't been a console that has sold 300 million. Out of all the years that we've been gaming, yes, gaming has stagnated. That means that the same people that have been gaming back then are possibly more likely the same people gaming now, or the ones that used to play, that don't play, that have been replaced by the Fortnite gamer in favor of them. So yes, gaming hasn't really grown. Because if you guys think about it, why are we still talking about 100 million sales on a console? Shouldn't we be talking about 300 million sales, 400 million sales, 500 million sales? With how big gaming is getting, explain to me why more people ain't buying consoles. Ding, 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 ding. Good answer, Carl, because most consoles are not available in certain regions, unlike PCs. This is why Sony and Microsoft is expanding so they can reach new customers considering how high the budget of these games are becoming. It's a pretty simple concept to understand.
If need be. Lux, you're saying, you're saying here, I like that one of the devs at Nintendo told Japanese devs to make the games they want and not to worry about the West. Games first is always priority. Yeah, that's a pretty Giga Chad move, I would say.
And it means absolutely nothing because, like I've said, Nintendo left the home console market. So if home consoles was profitable for them, don't you think that the Wii U would have had a successor? Using the Switch as a comp-out, considering that the Switch and the Wii U have about very similar hardware, goes, if anything, brings my point with more value. Nintendo left home consoles. You guys can sit there and use the Switch and say, well, I can play it on my TV. It doesn't matter. It's built like a portable. Therefore, it's more of a portable console than it is a home console. You know that. Let's stop the cap right there. Okay? Nintendo has always been successful in portables. If Nintendo made a home console, it will more likely fail. You people know that. No matter what type of games you put on it. Look at the Wii. Look no further than the Wii U as an example. The same games that was good on the Wii U, or should I say the games that were successful on the Switch, were games that came from the Wii U. And even though we sit there and say, oh, these games are great, like 3D World and Mario Kart 8, that 80 million didn't start playing Mario Kart until after the Switch came out. So it goes to show you that even if you make good games, that doesn't necessarily mean people will gravitate towards your platform.
On Nintendo's part, like, I love these devs that just come out and they're just like, yeah, who gives a shit about Western developer tendencies, you know? Like, just do your shit. Focus on your stuff, man. Make the game.
That is actually clearly a lie, because even Nintendo has tried. I mean, what do you mean? Mario, you guys want to classify these as Japanese games? Most of Nintendo games don't even have Japanese influence in them. What are you talking about? Mario playing as an Italian plumber, going up, picking up coins. That's Japanese? How is that Japanese? Explain to me where any of the traditions that Nintendo has been putting out there is Japanese. Metroid Prime 4 Samus is not even Japanese. Think about actually what I'm saying right now before you people jump to conclude, it's Japanese! Literally take the time to understand what I'm telling you. If the game is, yes, we understand that it's Japanese, it's made by Japanese people, but clearly there is a Western influence with these Nintendo games. F-Zero? Star Fox? A lot of these, Metroid Prime? A lot of these games seem to have some form of a Western influence. Mario? Really? Oh, that's Japanese. So we're essentially saying Mario's Japanese now. Wouldn't that be DEI according to you people? You see what I'm saying? At the end of the day, Nintendo has Westernized influence games. You guys can sit there, cap, damage control, act like Mario is Japanese, but we already know the answers to this. Cut the cap. These games are very much Westernized, no different than what you're seeing on Xbox and PlayStation. I just exposed that.
And you want to make, go for it. It has its own risk built in, but...
No, and that's not necessarily true either, because there's a lot of Nintendo games that people want to see that have been doormat for so long, and yet Nintendo still don't see the need to bring them back. Well, you know why? Because it just doesn't make them enough money. It's that simple. At the end of the day, it comes to how... Why do you think you guys get these countless amount of Mario games? Mario Tennis, Mario Superstars, Mario in the Galaxy, Mario on the Odyssey, Mario doing this, Mario doing that, Mario partying now, Mario driving in the race car. Why do you think that is? Because that's what people are buying. At the end of the day, the Switch is there to appeal. I love the Switch, but I'm just saying, the Switch is there to appeal to casuals and children. That is the appeal of Nintendo portables. That's the reason why I loved it as a child and still continue to love it to this day. But to sit there and act like people pick up the Switch to play Xenoblade Chronicles X and all those other hardcore games, you are lying to yourself. Stop the cap, bro. Stop the cap. That's all I'm going to sit there and say. Stop the cap.
I did see that. And,
Legend of Zelda, another perfect example. Explain to me how that game is Japanese. How is it Japanese? The game seems very Western influenced. Matter of fact, it gets a lot of its Western influence from games like Skyrim, which is also a Westernized game made by people at Bethesda. So explain to me. Like, you guys want to sit there and say, oh, Nintendo, they're just doing their own game standing. Are they really? Because it seems like they're just copying the same tropes they've always done, using the same IPs they've been milking for the past 30, 40 years, and also essentially westernizing a lot of their traditional franchises like Legend of Zelda. So I don't get what you people are talking about. You guys want to sit there and say Nintendo's just doing their own thing, when in reality, all they're doing is copying everybody else. And I know that's going to hurt some Nintendo fans, but I'm just keeping it 100, man. I told you guys I could say something bad about everybody, and clearly this video shows it.
You can see the first seeds of this long-term play by Microsoft switching the Xbox development platform to Win32. One game dev platform was the end. Like, this is it. This is the moment they were talking about. It actually came to pass. And it's like, oh, no, everything's fine. So weird. It's so weird.
It's not that, but it kind of does speak volumes to the end of PlayStation's reign, because it shows you that Sony might not want, which we have clearly seen, that they might not want to invest in big budget games if people are not going to buy them. So it does kind of speak volumes. So I wouldn't say Sony's necessarily dead. I think when people throw out these terms, it's ridiculous. Obviously, I do it from joking perspective because that's what they do in regards to Xbox. It's not necessarily that they're dead, but I would say the true essence of what PlayStation is about is dead. The days of Sony putting all this money into these AAA games for their audience is dead. Them pushing out exclusive games to get people to buy the PlayStation consoles is dead. Those philosophies, those narratives that you people keep bringing up are dead. How about we say that? I think that sounds a lot more reasonable.
Maybe next gen? Kids want PC, not console, MBG.
I don't think kids really care what they play on. The kids is not the problem. It's the fact that, like I said, Fortnite, Apex, the free-to-plays came in, they have taken over, right? Gaming has stagnated. For all the OGs that used to play back in the days, they see that the fact that, dang, y'all don't make games for us no more, so they stopped playing, and they have been replaced by the new profound gamer, which is the Fortnite, the Roblox gamers, you know, the same top 10 chart gamers you've been seeing for the past few years, okay? They have taken over the industry. They have replaced a lot of what we loved and enjoyed about gaming.
Could be true to that, yeah. Lex, you're saying Sony needs to chill with some of their IP. I'm fed up hearing about Horizon and The Last of Us. They need to not put so much of the same thing out there. Yeah, Sony is in like a awkward position when it comes to people's reactions, where it's like,
because the problem is, though, what do you don't understand? Oh, Sony shouldn't focus on. That's what's bringing them money. Those are their peripheral franchises. What you don't understand, Xbox is doing the same thing. Halo, Gears, and Forza. Gamers thought I told you. They're focusing on IP. Well, I'll say Microsoft has been gambling a little bit more. So much respect to them for bringing games like Perfect Dark, Fable, you know, games that they believe it could work. But I think it has more to do with Game Pass as to why those games are existing, not due to the fact that they want to put $400 million into a game and then have it bust. So I think the philosophy is that when we sit there and say, I don't know why this game don't exist no more. Well, I don't know, dummy. Maybe because they know there's not enough people to buy the game. That's probably why Killzone on it, Infamous. Why would you come out with an Infamous if Spider-Man's going to completely outsell it? Like, you get what I'm saying? We don't live in that demographic where we can get the Street Fighter and the rival schools. You know what I mean? We don't live in that era no more. Because now we live in an era where those competing games, especially within their own company, can impact the sales of another one. Because I remember this happened with Medal of Honor and Battlefield. They had Medal of Honor and Battlefield, and Medal of Honor had to take the back seat. All in favor of Battlefield, which was more successful. It got to the point where they even made Medal of Honor like Battlefield. It was ridiculous. EA's like, why we have two games that are competing with one another? This is stupid. We'll axe Medal of Honor, and we'll continue with Battlefield. Same thing with Forza and Project Gotham Racing. Even though I enjoy Project Gotham Racing and I still see the appeal of it, but clearly you can see Forza Horizon, the arcadey style of those racing sim games, took over that. They're like, well, Project Gotham Racing is good, but it's kind of irrelevant in today's gaming landscape, which also meant that that game had to be axed. I'm not justifying why it had to be axed. All I'm doing is explaining to you as to why these things are happening and why companies are not trying to bring out your beloved games that you once known and loved.
I just want more Horizon, and everyone's like, no. Please, God, no. And then it's like, all right, well, we got something new. It's called Intergalactic, and people are like, oh my god, what is that?
Well, that game has mostly due to the controversy of all that other stuff we won't touch up on this video. But like I said, I mean, I hope the game is good. You know what I mean? I can't really tell much by the trailer that they've shown, no different than Sorrows. So we'll have to see how that goes. But like I said, I think Naughty Dog is past their heyday. Once GTA 6 comes out, man, I don't think nobody's really going to care about these PlayStation exclusives no more.
Fair games? Sony's in this position where people are critical of anything they put out.
Which is kind of sad.
I will say the most positivity I've seen towards PlayStation being thrown in PlayStation's direction in a long time is Death Stranding 2, which is nice. I'm happy about that.
But that's not made by Sony. That's made by Kojima Productions.
And I would say that's really the only thing I've seen in recent memory that doesn't have some kind of weight on it. You know, kind of like...
Yeah, well, you just admitted Sony games have no weight. That's what it is. Nintendo games have weight. Xbox games have weight. They have the names, the titles, the status of games that people want to pick up and play. This is why I kept telling y'all, buy your own games. You buying Xbox on games on PlayStation is only further making PlayStation worse, to the point where we don't even start seeing first party from Sony themselves. You know, the reason why you said I picked up a PS5 for exclusives? Well, guess what? You ain't got no exclusives. You ain't got no first party games coming out from Sony, but Xbox, they do. Nintendo, they do. That's what the gamers want. Regardless if it's the 20,000th Mario game they played, they're giving the gamers what they want to play. And as much as I might be tired of it, and essentially say that, dang, Nintendo, you need to focus on your other IPs, I understand the philosophy. I understand that some of these games just don't work in modern time. Not saying they're bad games. I love it. I would love to see Eternal Darkness come back. But we all know that game ain't gonna make no money for Nintendo, no matter how good the game is. This is what Microsoft Phil Spencer told you. It doesn't matter what we make. People are comfortable in what they're playing. This is what y'all don't get. Y'all still caught up in this, exclusive. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. I hate to break it to you. I hate to break it to your heart. Even though I'm looking for the Gears E-Day, I'd be a fool to tell you, Fortnite gamers, they're going to drop that for that. They're not. The only ones that are going to enjoy Gears is the Gears fans. The only ones that are going to enjoy Intergalactic is the fans that have been supporting Naughty Dog for this long, but even they feel backstabbed due to Last of Us 2. That's probably another reason why that game won't do well. Okay? And let's not forget that Last of Us 2 did far worse than the first game. Second, it had controversy. 3, it had aspects of the game that people didn't like with the story. 4, woke controversy. Like, that game has way more negative things going into that game than what Last of Us 2 did, because Last of Us 2 was just, it's a sequel to one of your favorite games. So people's like, okay, I'm going to try it out. It's a sequel to one of my favorite games. But clearly the sales was way lower.
Trying to drag it down, where it's like, and I did see some people trying, but they were failing miserably. Maybe Saros as well. Saros is good too. And that's not true. And it's like, well, it kind of is. It is true. Like,
what's true?
You get timed exclusives, So Microsoft
gets timed exclusives, but yet y'all getting timed exclusives too. What are you talking about?
Or Sony basically did go multi-platform in that sense.
They did.
Yeah, and that's the whole other thing too. I had to deal with that, like the port begging. It's like, what is it called now for the groups of Xbox fans that are hyper-focused on the notion of playing PlayStation games on the next gen Xbox?
I really don't care. I really care for the Steam catalog. Now, mind you, if those Xbox dudes are spiting you, that also goes back to the point that you said that these games would never come to an Xbox. I mean, it kind of goes based off what y'all was saying. I mean, even the title of your own video says this.
Is that not port begging? What do you call it?
I mean, I guess you could say that, but I would look at it more like they're just taking shots. You guys said that PlayStation games would never go to Xbox. Now that they're probably eventually coming through Steam, now you guys have a problem with it. It's more about calling out your hypocrisy in the sense, I would say. Because me personally, I don't care about the PlayStation games. I already have a PlayStation for those games if it's that necessary. So it's whatever Sony you want to block away, do what you feel best. It doesn't matter. I already have a PS5, and I don't even care for those games here. So at the end of the day, what does this really matter to anybody?
Bet you they're not calling it that. Lux, you're saying I could see Microsoft trying to shake things up more, trying to change the 70 to 30% to 80-20 in the future. They're just going to call it Xbox PC. That's it. Xbox 360, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and then the final stop, Xbox PC. That's it. Boom.
I really don't know as to why. We're going to just finish it on this notion because, I mean, he clearly don't say anything of substance, but he's clearly upset that Steam will be available on Xbox, which would also mean that the Xbox has a higher potential rate of being able to play PlayStation games on the new Xbox console. Like I said, man, I told you guys that exclusives don't matter. Just play your games, man. I really don't know why y'all put so much emphasis on who plays your game and who does. But like I said, I will say Xbox is doing it with the incredible value. We could sit there and use Nintendo. Oh, Nintendo's doing it. Nintendo's not doing anything right. Y'all like, what? Oh, I'm going to have to just... Sometimes I say things just so I can get you guys to overreact so you guys can kind of get my point. So when I said that, I know that happened literally at that moment. Nintendo's not doing anything. What do you mean? Nintendo's just riding it till the wheels fall off. You tell me the last time Nintendo even put $400 million into a game. Nintendo is on their own lane. I mean, yes, I guess you can add them for this quote-unquote console war, but it's really a portable, though. If you want to sit there and talk about consoles, the last console that Nintendo did was the Wii U, and we already know what happened with that. And the Wii U had great games. The same great games you see on Switch that are selling 8-10 million were the same games that sold, well, they still sold good on Wii U, but it didn't sell the Wii U, did it? So that shows you, no matter if you have good games or not, it doesn't matter. And let's not forget, the Switch is also tailor-made more as a, casual children's console. Oh, no, it's not Nintendo. Watching the Nintendo fans going to get mad. Oh, we're going to sit there and act like the Switch is not intended for children? Every time I go to GameStop, it's always the kids running to the Switch section. And maybe like one or two adults. It is what it is, guys. Like, I mean, I don't know why would y'all get upset about that when it's the reality and the truth. I'm not saying that you can't be a adult and play Nintendo. All I'm saying that the target demographic is for children. It is what it is. Y'all can get mad all you want and casual gamers. It is what it is. And portable gamers, right? So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, man. Like I said, man, I'm not dissing the Switch because I already know the Switch 2 is already an automatic guaranteed success no matter what I say about it. But at the end of the day, man, just play your games, man. That's what's important.